This whole like sex talk thing, the response, mad. You guys were eager for this to become a series, so here we are doing sex talk part 2. This is a space where nothing is off limits, okay? I don't want to silence anything. I don't want to PG anything, right? We talk about anything and everything over here because if we're gonna talk, we're gonna talk. Taboo who? We don't know her. Side note, I am not an expert. I'm just here to give my opinion on the situations. Take it or leave it. Went onto the gram, you guys sent me your questions and that's how we're rolling with it. So let's just get into this, okay? Your questions, anything sex related, and I'm about to answer them, so let's go. The first question is period sex gross? That's what we want to know. Keeping it real, I feel like this is totally a matter of opinion and what you and your partner or you and your sexual partner want to be doing. I know people that are like, fuck off, no, that's disgusting. I'm not coming in, no, crime scene. But I also know of people that kind of find it a bit of a turn on. So personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I mean, like ladies, I feel like you can probably agree, I'm like hornier on my period. So somehow it kind of feels nicer. I don't know the science behind that, but it does. Okay, I don't think it's gross. Like, you just keep it clean, you be safe. Like, what's wrong? I do have one limitation though, and if I'm heavy, okay, if the flow is heavy, not today. Do you know what I mean? It feels like too kind of like wet. We're talking a little bit. I don't mind, like, at all. If anything, it kind of just like adds to the experience. To be fair, I feel like it's just a conversation that you would have with your partner and see what you're both comfortable with. If you don't do it, I don't personally think you're missing out. Like, it's not completely different to like normal sex, but for some it's TMI, I know, but people do it. Like, it's not normal, so don't get it twisted. Okay, this question was actually quite popular. Your boobs and the size of them, I think, is a discussion that happens, but in terms of in the like bedroom department, it's more like not mentioned. Can you talk about a flat chest and confidence in the bedroom? I won't take my bra off in the bedroom with my boyfriend. Same happened to me, girl, especially when I was first getting like sexual with other people. I was self-conscious of my boobs. They were teeny. They've grown like a little bit since then, but like they were small and I used to just be like, it's easy to feel like smaller boobs aren't as attractive as bigger boobs, but the reality of the situation is right now we're in 2020, babe. Boys have seen boobs, okay? And a lot of them in different shapes, sizes, and I'm sure a lot of boys have been with girls with big boobs and small boobs. I can assure you they are not looking at you being like, hello? You might be, but they're not. They don't care, right? It's literally just a bit of fat on your chest. It ain't a big deal. Don't deep it. You're putting too much pressure on yourself and you're not being able to enjoy the moment, and don't allow that to be a thing. I promise you, you're thinking about it way more than they are. In fact, it's probably not even crossing their minds. Be confident with them, man. There is nothing wrong with having small boobs, and at the same time, like, your boyfriend's with you for you. You ain't about to do the thing and he's gonna look at you and be like, like, no, of course not. He just wants to get his dick wet. Don't worry about it, okay? Just own it, rock it, you've got this. This question literally says by curiosity, so I'm assuming like you just want me to kind of discuss the topic. I did mention it in the last one, but listen, I'll talk about it some more. I actually learned something from talking about this in my last video. So I said that, so we didn't know like where I'm at in the scale of things in that respect. So I romantically see myself only with guys. I could never see myself in a relationship with a female, but I am like sexually attracted to both. Thinking about it at the time, I was like, I'm not bisexual, but like, what? Do you know what I mean? It actually has a name, which I'm not all about labels. I just think you are who you are. You don't have to label yourself to fit in. But it actually having a label made me feel a bit more like normal, right? It's called, what is it? Bisexual heteroromantic. So it means that you're sexually attracted to both, but you romanticize with the opposite sex. So interesting. Like, who would have thought that there was like an official name for it? But that's me. That's where I'm at. Easy to be confused. It's easy to not want to talk about it because you're not sure with yourself. If you're not sure with yourself, how can you talk about it with someone else? It's kind of, you're at that sort of stage, right? But it's so normal. Judging from the response I got from my last video, so many people feel the same. I had a lot of females like in my DMs like saying, George, that is me. I've been trying to explain how I feel. That is it. I don't see it as a big deal at all. For a lot of us, it's like in human nature to be curious, to want to experiment. Confusion in this realm of things is so easy. Like, it's so easy to just fall into this little circle where like you don't know. You don't know. Who cares who you fuck with? Like, literally. Like, who cares? Bi curiosity though is the perfect way to describe it, because it is literally like your midpoint. It's your curious stage where you're not entirely sure. I was out there for a while. I was bi curious for a while, let me tell you, and then I just was like, F it, like, this is who I am, like, here's what it is. Afraid of people judging you for it? Fine, let them. Like, if they're that small-minded that they care that much about somebody else and who they're attracted. Ciao for now. It is you and your feelings, nobody else's. Do not shy away from it because you're scared of what other people will think. Like, if anything, it's actually quite liberating. When I spoke about it on my last video about how I actually felt, I was like, relief. Next question is, talk about dryness in the moment. This is interesting. I feel like this for a female is totally different to a male. I mean, we've got different bits. So if you're dry, it does not mean that you are not turned on. Just like if a guy can't get erect, it doesn't mean he's not aroused or into it. Just sometimes that's how it is. Biggest misconception. That is not how it is. Sometimes a girl can be wet in the inside. Sometimes it can be more on the outside. Everybody has like different like levels, right? This is why they invented a thing called lube. Use it, man. It's there for a reason. Do you know what I mean? Like I've used it plenty of times. Being female, it's not always the easiest to get wet on the like outside. Obviously, for it to go in, there needs to be a bit of like moisture here, right? And sometimes we may be wet in here, but we won't be wet here. And you do know. Do not go through the uncomfortableness and even sometimes pain not having any moisture. Like if the penis was to go in dry, not a fun sight. It's human anatomy, it's the way the body works, it's nothing to feel ashamed of, and it does not mean you're not turned on. You could be the most turned on you've ever been in your life, but for the driest, okay, Sahara Desert. There's so much that can affect you being drier. Like there might be an occasion where it just isn't happening. Certain medications can also cause you to be drier. You might not be hydrated enough, so drinking enough fluids. Sometimes your body can actually be disconnected to like down there, which I know sounds crazy, but like, that is a thing. Your hormones can be imbalanced, so there might be something a little bit off. Don't ever be afraid to get things involved that will help ease the situation. Like if you need to get lube so the penis goes in smoother, then you do that. It's smart, if anything, right? Because why would you want to be uncomfortable when there's something there that could help? Use this. I'm going to the opposite end of the scale. Talked about dryness, now we're talking about the wet, okay? Squirting. Talk about squirting. What is it? How do you do it? And how do men feel about it? Right, I have never experienced this myself, so I can't say it from a point of view of self-experience, but I can from like a bit of knowledge. A lot of confusion around this topic. I think some people don't even know what it is, and I think that's true. I don't actually think they've completely discovered what it is, like whether it's a woman like peeing or whether it's like some form of like ejaculation. From what I'm aware, not self-experience, but from what I'm aware, feels like you're going for a wee, and I think it comes out of that hole as well. So it actually comes from a different area of the body. I think it comes from the urethra, which is actually like the passage that your urine would come from, and I think that's where a lot of people get confused. But I don't think it is like pee. Like I think it is something different. I don't know. I think the science behind it, there's not an actual accurate result. Yeah, can all women do it? I'm not sure, but I believe it's a totally different feeling to like an actual orgasm. Different as well, let's be honest. That shit comes flying out. It happens though, it's normal, and women outside of the porn industry do it. As for how, bitch, I don't know. I'm gonna keep it real with you. That is something that I'm still yet to perhaps discover. I think you have to be completely relaxed. Not just yourself, but your muscles inside as well. There's an urge I think you have to get over as well. Like there's a weird feeling that you have to get past, and then it happens. Last part, what do men think about it? Well, luckily I have a man in my life that I can ask. Right, babe, random question. I'm not fit. I'm filming a sex talk Q&A right now, and somebody asked me about squirting, and in the question they've asked what do guys think about it. So can I just have like a little voice note of your opinion? That would be absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. As soon as he answers, I'll put it in.
Yeah, to be honest, mate, I think it's one of those things that it's like, it is what it is. You know, like, I think some girls can, some girls can't, or like, whatever. I'm not like a physician, scientist on it, if that's what you call it. Like, if it happens in the moment, it happens, innit? Like, fuck it, whatever. Just carry on. It's just,
there you go.
It is what it is.
Yeah, the boys don't do
like,
it.
if you just got in front of me, I'd be like, cool, sick, whatever, let's carry on. You know what I mean?
I mean, listen, that's one boy's point of view, but I probably think that's the majority of boys' point of view. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, they're not shocked or like grossed out by it at all. Like Jake said, it is what it is. Like, it's, I don't know. Next up, we've got, I am scared of going down on my partner. It doesn't seem appealing to me. What do I do? Dick fright is actually a thing. No, it is. A lot of girls said this to me, you know. They're saying that they don't like either the idea of actually doing it in terms of the actual like physicalness, or they don't like the actual look of the penis itself. And they're like, I ain't going near that. Not, especially with this. This is kind of hard because never do something that you actually really don't want to do. You really don't want to do it, don't do it. It's as simple as that. Like if it just freaks you out that much and you don't want to, don't do something you don't want to do. Do you know what I mean? Number one, you're not going to be comfortable in the bedroom department and there's absolutely no point. Number two, you're not going to enjoy yourself, so there's absolutely no point. And number three, babes, you have another hole that the guy can enjoy. It's fine. If though the reason that you don't want to try it is because you don't really know what you're doing and you're just kind of, the thought is a bit overwhelming and you don't want to disappoint, the only way you're going to get around that is if you try it. Give it a go. You know, if you're not entirely comfortable enough with your partner that you can't like ask them what they want, do a little Google search. See the best response in a survey or something. Is that how it works? I don't fucking know. Big sister tips from Jords. What would I say? I would say don't use teeth. Faster isn't always better. Build it up, just like us females. We like a build up. We don't like impact straight away. Same kind of thing. If I like, that's massive. Imagine like a twist is right. Okay, sweet, cool. To be fair, guys, in anything in life, don't feel pressured or don't do something that you really don't want to do and that you're uncomfortable with. It isn't worth it, especially in the bedroom department. There's other things you can do. Do you know what I mean? Okay, this is how interesting. I feel like a lot of people would expect this to feel the same. Is it normal to not finish from oral sex but to finish from masturbation? The answer to that is absolutely. Of course. In my last sex talk, I said this too. Masturbation is the way that you can find out exactly, like to a T, what you like. Think about it as you in your own space, in your own time, like doing it to yourself so you can change it how you want. You can do what you want to yourself. Do you know what I mean? Easy to think, well, you know, I'm stimulating myself from the outside, so if somebody else does, I'm sure it'll be fine, right? Not all the time. Oral to masturbation, two different things. Somebody's doing oral, you're doing it yourself. You have the control, they have the control. Like there can be totally different outcomes. Finishing from masturbation, not from oral, it could mean different things. It could mean number one, you're maybe not, your body's maybe not entirely comfortable, right? So you're kind of shutting off a little bit. It's not as easy. Number two, what your partner is doing, you may not be into, or it might not be just quite right. So don't be afraid to speak up. Tell them. Be a woman who knows what they want. It's sexy. It also could be down to environment as well though. You know, when you masturbate, you're typically kind of by yourself in your own headspace, and then obviously oral, it's completely different. Different things take different times, right? Like for example, for me, like through oral or even masturbation, like I can come, but from like actual sex, like actual intercourse, I can't yet. And that's just how it is. It probably will come over time, but right now I can't. Every woman is different and things happen for ladies at different times. That's fine. This question is so cute. This I can relate to. Like this is the thing. So it says, do you ever feel shy staying naked after sex, even if you aren't insecure about your body? Yes! I feel like the most important part to that question was even if you aren't insecure, if you are a bit insecure of your body, that's totally fine. Naturally, it will come with time. You'll feel more confident to be able to just like chill there with like everything out. I can relate to this so much because for the longest time I was exactly the same. I used to sit with myself and be like, George, are you cool, man? Like, is anything wrong? Like, am I don't know, secretly insecure about something, but I'm just like not admitting it to myself? Like, what's the deal here? I think more than anything, it's just vulnerability. Completely. Hear me out. So obviously you're vulnerable during sex, right? But you're doing something's happening, there's different distractions around you. I don't know, it's just you're in the middle of something. When you put a full stop to that and you're just sort of laying there, it's kind of like, what now? Even if you're really comfortable with someone and actually comfortable with yourself, there's still sometimes can be that moment of like awkwardness, and there's no reason why it's awkwardness, but it just is. I think it depends how other people act. Do you know what I mean? Like some people want to cuddle, some people are just like chill. Like I don't know, I think us girls sometimes we got to get up and we got to go clear up. It ain't like the movies. Do you know what I mean? I've got to sit on the toilet, I've got like squeeze to get shit out of me. There's a couple things that could help. Maybe like get under the sheets and cuddle. Another thing, you could always just like grab a t-shirt and throw it on and kind of make like a little joke about it. Do you know what I mean? Biggest advice is after sex, after you've done what you've done, just like get back into like your relationship, if that makes sense. However you act together, get back to that. Be playful with each other, like cuddle, like chat, you know, don't obviously sit in silence, like just add to the situation. And hopefully over time that will kind of disappear. Please can you discuss your experience with UTIs and or yeast infections? It's definitely not talked about enough, which I totally agree with that. I don't think it is talked about enough, and I definitely can. Yeast infections, I've not had experiences, but UTIs, yes. I went through a period in my life, probably like for a good like few months, this was more so when I was a bit younger, where I was literally getting UTIs like that. By the way, side note, I should have said a UTI, if you don't know, it's a urinary Oh my god, it doesn't even sound like a word now. Urinary. Basically, it's an infection in your urine tract. For me, it's where I constantly had that feeling of needing to pee, and when I did go for a pee, it's like painful and nothing comes out, like drips come out. It can last a few days and they're irritating and they're so uncomfortable. Funny story with mine though, how I actually found out that a UTI can be linked to sex. This is so funny. Back when I worked at Tesco was the first time I kind of got like a proper UTI, and I was probably about 17, 18. The night before I went into work, I did have sex, and I woke up the next morning and my god, my bladder was about to explode, but it actually wasn't. And then it was stinging like a bitch. It was just, luckily at the time, me and my manager had a really good relationship. Like, he was so chill, so I could like tell him things like this. So I just had to tell him, I was like, mate, when I go for a piss, right, my vagina's on fire. I feel like my bladder's about to explode, but it ain't. There's nothing in there. Like, my vagina's got something's up. I'm about to go get a bottle of cranberry juice and down it. And his response to me was like, did you piss after sex? And I was like, sorry? Did I? Why do you want to know if I went for a wee after... No, but okay. He was like, that's your problem. Like, that can be a cause of it. If you don't wee after having intercourse, and especially if he's ejaculated inside of you, that all in there, that's not good for you. And that is how I found out that I should pee after sex. My manager from Tesco told me. So let me just say, it's so common for women to get UTIs from sex. I'm pretty sure as well the actual action of sex, so like the thrusting and stuff, can actually allow like bacteria into your urethra, into your bladder, and that can cause a UTI as well. Of course as well, UTIs can be caused by other things, not just sex. I'm just talking about it because we're talking about sex. Ways to prevent it: pee after sex. Make sure you're nice and clean down there. Don't go crazy. I'm not saying Zoflora your vagina, ladies, okay? Just little something. Pee before and after sex. Keep really hydrated. Like, there are ways to help, but it is normal to get UTIs from sex, especially if you're having intercourse quite often. Performance anxiety in sex for women and men. You know what? This is a real thing. So basically, overthinking and worrying too much about what you do in the bedroom department, you know, overthinking it, like, am I doing it right, is this good enough, etc, etc. Like, that overthinking stage is actually one of the biggest sort of like mood killers, not in terms of just for your partner, but for yourself as well, because your mind is elsewhere and you're thinking too much about the actions rather than doing them. It doesn't always turn out how you want it to, I guess. So normal though to be worried and to be overthinking it, especially if you're with someone new, especially if you're maybe trying something that you've never tried before, especially if you're the kind of person that compares yourself to other people when maybe you're worried that you're not doing it as well as somebody else. Just, that shouldn't even be a thing, but I get it. I used to be the same. I used to be like a really, really shy girl, which you wouldn't think now, would you? Because I'm fucking annoying. That shyness would also like come off in the bedroom department. I used to just be like very kind of timid and let like the guy like lead. Now isn't the case. Like, now I think sex is fun and I'm like all about everything, but don't let it get you down. I think the best kind of way to do it is Maybelline. Maybe it's Maybelline. If you can, sit down with your partner and kind of just tell them how you're feeling. I think sometimes getting that out and having them know releases that anxiety a bit, so they know where your head's at and they can always help you in the bedroom department, because don't forget, sex is a two-way street. You can't have one without the other. Talking about it will hopefully bring some comfort to you, and you can go at a pace that you're both comfortable with. Another thing to remember is like, sex is like, it's literally a penis going into a vagina. The rest is like the creative part that you can do. You do not have to be this like crazy like bitch in the bedroom department to have a good time. You do not need to perform a porno to have good sex, right? Don't stress. Stop worrying about whether what you're doing is a good job. Ask them if you're really that unsure. I'm sure they would let you know, and I'm sure you'll be able to tell as well. Don't be afraid to look at them and see how they're reacting to what you're doing, because that's how you get your response during sex, is the way that they are, the way that their body is, the way, I don't know, noises or body language during sex, during oral, whatever, is huge. Like, look at it. Sex is kind of like a whole like learning process. You know what I mean? Like, what works for one person doesn't work for somebody else. And it's just, this is between you and your partner, right? So make that between you and your partner. Talk about it. If you're not sure, try something else. Try doing it a different way if you're really that paranoid. But sex is meant to be fun. Stop being paranoid. Stop being anxious about what you're doing and have fun. Imagine letting that anxiety go, that stress of not being good enough go, and then having a good time. Like, imagine that. Do you know what I mean? That could be the thing that's just getting in the way, and you could just release that and you could have fun, you can have a good time. And a lot of the time what you're thinking ain't what they're thinking. Anyway, next question is, did it feel natural introducing sex toys in your relationship, or did it feel awkward at first? So it definitely had, I mean, I'm real comfortable with Jake, so I guess in a way, like a little bit. It's a whole new ball game when you think about it. Like, there's something else involved with us right now. Not awkward in a sense between us, but I guess awkward in a sense of we both need to like work this out together. Like, this is new kind of awkward, if that makes sense. We did introduce at a time in our relationship that we was both like comfortable with, and that we were both like, yeah, this is gonna be fun, like let's do it. This is actually something that even myself, I only knew the kind of more scientific technical term about it with probably in the past like year and a half. I always knew about it because for me, I had this, it's more in like the beginning half of my sex life. Good to talk about it, so you know that it's an actual thing, you know, not just confused whether your body's normal. I think this is how you pronounce it. Do not come for me if I've said this wrong. But so this question is about vaginismus. To be honest, I think they're just asking me my thoughts on it. She's saying, I think I have it because having sex is pretty painful. So if you don't know what vaginismus is, by the way, it is where your vagina muscles tighten up, which can cause pain through intercourse. It's actually almost like your body going into like fear mode, and the thought of something entering and like penetrating through, your body's automatic reaction is like, nope, and it tightens up, and then therefore obviously it can cause pain. I ain't just talking about sex either. For some people, inserting a tampon can be painful. Anything, it's just uncomfortable. And I remember like my first sort of like third of like my sex life. So I lost my virginity when I was 17. From then till now, and I'm 22, I genuinely thought that like I could never have sex because it was just so ridiculously painful. I got to a point where I was generally like, how do people enjoy this? Like, this is a fraud. Like, I want a refund. Okay, give me my money back. Unfortunately, I think it's just one of those things that your body has to get used to. I think it's a lot of our like mental, it's your mental state. It's, I guess, getting used to the feeling of something. I actually couldn't use tampons for a while. The first time I put a tampon in, I nearly fainted. So that's a fun story. Like, I literally went white as a ghost, and I was like, I'm gonna be sick. Because it hurt and it just didn't feel right. Now I'm all good and I'm totally fine. I can get the occasional pain during sex, but nothing to be worried about. I can say though is, if you are experiencing this, of course feel free, please go to a doctor, speak to someone that fully knows what they're talking about, because there could be something deeper, and you know, just the thought of trying to get through it, mentally being able to relax or trying something, if that's not working, go to a doctor. They'll be able to help you and assist you way better than I can. There is things that can be done to the actual muscles, like exercises and stuff to try and relax them, but be mindful and be aware of your own body and what it's trying to tell you. You know, if you are experiencing consistent pain through penetration of any kind, you could have this, and if you're unsure, like I said, go to a doctor. Pain from sex though, especially if you're like losing your virginity and you're in like the first few months of having sex, it can be very painful. You might not actually have that, it's just the way it's your body getting used to something, right? In this whole situation, it's all about your body getting used to something it's never experienced before. You're the only one that knows your body. You're the one that knows your body best. You feel like something's not right, seek medical advice. Do not be embarrassed about it. Right, they are all the questions that we are doing. That is the end of the sex talk part 2. Hopefully this one was just as useful as the first. The response from the first was mad. I want to thank you guys, by the way, because that blew me away. Typically I sit here and paint my face and show you what clothes I got, but to be able to actually open up and talk about real like girl shit in a comfortable and safe space, and knowing that it's helping people, like, it's cool, man. I'm not a professional, I'm just a normal 22-year-old girl, you guys, who shows herself on the internet a few times a week. That is it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Peace.